Psalm 18:37 through 45.
You must remember that David's enemies were God's enemies, and that David was fighting the Lord's battles for him. Now, we as Christians today are taught to pray for our enemies and to do good to those who despitefully use us. David did that. David prayed for Saul. And on at least 2 occasions, David could have killed Saul and didn't do it. Yes, David had the right attitude toward Saul, but Saul did not have the right attitude toward David. The thing you want to remember as you read verses 37 through 45 is this: David was not carrying out a personal vindictive vengeance. When he talks about his enemies, he's talking about God's enemies. David was the instrument God used to accomplish his purposes in that world. The interesting point is verse 42, "Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind." Now, David had been enlarged. Verse 19, "He brought me forth also into a large place." Down in verse 36, "Thou hast enlarged my steps under me." David had become enlarged. His enemies had become as small as the dust. You see, circumstances reveal character. People say, well, a man is made by a crisis. No, a crisis does not make a person. A crisis shows what a person is made of. This crisis came along and it made Saul and his crowd smaller and smaller and smaller. It made David bigger and bigger and bigger. David was enlarged, his enemies became small. David was established. "Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip." But his enemies became like the dust that the wind blew away. By the way, the circumstances that you are going through, are these circumstances making you smaller or bigger? Are they enabling you to overcome, or are they overcoming you? David rejoices in these verses that God has given him victory, that everything is now under his feet. The victory is the Lord's. Let the circumstances make you bigger and greater for the Lord.